All right, this is Chapter 7, Section 3, Part 2. Napoleon creates an empire. We're going to finish up our last part of Section 3 today. All right, brief recap. In 1799, with the government in disarray and the national legislature not accomplishing anything since the end of the terror, Napoleon launches a successful coup d'etat. He proclaims himself first consul, and originally there were 3 consuls, just like the Romans had. He calls himself first consul, just like Julius Caesar did, and then he does away with the elected assembly, appointing a Senate that's really only there for advisory capabilities instead. In 1802, he makes himself sole consul for life. 2 years later, he's going to go ahead and crown himself emperor. Now here he is, Emperor of France, and you can see there's all those ladies standing there in a line, and most of them are, or some of them are his sisters, and then near him is his brothers. But I'm sure you're wondering, after all the drama with the love letters and her cheating on him, whatever happened to Josephine? Oh, Josephine. Well, Napoleon actually crowns her Empress of France. He remains married to her, remains loyal to her. This is an interesting painting because if you look, there he is placing the crown on her head. And as you know, he would place the crown upon his own head. But there in the background, in that balcony, given a seated place of honor, is actually Napoleon's mother. But this is an entire fabrication because she was never there. She refused to attend his crowning, did not like Josephine at all, thought that Josephine was a gold digger, and believed that Napoleon was making a mistake by raising himself up to emperor and destroying everything from, as she saw it, the revolution. So here is Napoleon seated upon his imperial throne, and there in the right-hand corner is the imperial throne itself. And Napoleon would rule from that place down in the lower corner, which is called Fontainebleau. It's a little too close to the revolution for him and Josephine to go back to Versailles. There's too many bad memories still associated with the French Revolution and for the French people, so they don't want to rule from there. So this is about 45 minutes outside of Paris, and they rule from there, which doesn't really affect Napoleon much because he is usually out on the road trying to conquer the world. So one of the first places he actually tries to conquer, he actually fails. In 1801, he tries to retake the colony of Saint-Domingue, which had broken away from France when the revolution had broken out, when Robespierre and the Assembly had declared slavery against the law and freed all the slaves in Saint-Domingue. Suddenly, all the revenue from those sugar plantations dries up. Well, Napoleon realizes he needs that revenue. He needs that money. He needs that money to fund his attacks on his neighbors in Europe. So he tries to retake Saint-Domingue, and it does not work. There's a great general there. More than that, the local diseases like malaria and yellow fever, his troops just can't handle. So he actually cuts his losses, and he looks for another way to gain money and finds it in the United States. He sells the United States the Louisiana Territory in 1803 for $15 million. And this is not a small chunk of land. This is a massive chunk of land. You can see that is the famous Saint-Domingue general, and Saint-Domingue would become Haiti. And when the slaves were freed, the first thing that they formed was a democracy. So while we like to pat ourselves on the back, we are actually not the first democracy in the Americas. Haiti is. So there is Toussaint Louverture. He is the general that coordinates the effort to fight off Napoleon. And there's the map of Saint-Domingue, or Haiti. And there you can see down in the bottom is the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. And it's like a third of our country. I mean, it is a big chunk of land. So, kind of get a big chunk of the Midwest thanks to Napoleon. So he could have millions of dollars to go ahead and attack everybody. He attacks Britain and Russia, Austria and Sweden, and they join forces against him, and he crushes them. He forces Russia, Austria, and Sweden to sign peace treaties. Now, some countries just give in willingly, like Denmark. Denmark, doesn't even want to get in the way, and they just sign a treaty with Napoleon. So does Iceland, but let's be honest, what's there to have in Iceland? He doesn't really have any interest there. But there is one place he does have interest in, and he keeps trying to conquer them, and that's the British. In his drive to rule Europe, again, if not the world, Napoleon comes up against the one force he cannot beat, and that is the British Navy. In 1805, he loses the Battle of Trafalgar. And Trafalgar is this really important battle, and it's led by the British Admiral Nelson. He's actually an aristocrat, so he is Viscount Nelson. And you can see they are very, very happy about it. If you are an island surrounded by water, it is, makes good sense for you to really have a good navy and spare yourself from invasion. So this defeat actually forces Napoleon to give up his plan of invading Britain for now. You can see there's the British fleet going up against the French fleet, which is, I think it's the combined French and Spanish fleet. And it's almost like, if you look at it, it looks like a game of Red Rover. That's just my thought. Upon their successful victory, the British were so very, very happy that they erected in the middle of London Nelson's Column there, and you can go visit it today, and up at the top is a giant life-size statue of Admiral Lord Viscount Nelson. All right, the French Empire, Napoleon controls Europe, basically all of Europe, except for Britain, Portugal, and Sweden. He's been trying to get to Portugal, and, he conquers Spain to do it. Sweden continues to fight, and the Ottomans continue to fight. He has puppet rulers in some countries. Some countries he puts his brothers on the throne. He makes his brother the Duke of Warsaw. He makes his other brother the King of Spain. He marries his sisters into the ruling families of Europe. He is playing the monarchy game like a champion. And the French Empire reaches its largest extent from 1807 to 1812. It looks like this. So you can see the light yellow color are the places that Napoleon has conquered. And then the blue are his voluntary allies. And then the dark yellow are the groups that have banded against him in different coalitions. And you can see there's as many as 7 coalitions. Like, they form a coalition, they lose. They form a new one, and they lose. They form a new one, and they lose. But he is literally trying to stretch himself from Portugal to Russia. And that's a lot of space. This is a political cartoon of the time. And you can see there he is, Fontainebleau in the middle, and he is stretching from Portugal to Russia, and the sticks are breaking, and he is dropping his scepter, and he is dropping his orb of the church, and it appears he's just stretched himself too far. That may be true. Famous quote from Napoleon: "You must not fight too often with one enemy, or you will teach him all your art of war." And perhaps that was Napoleon's problem. All right, we will come back again, and I will see you in section 4. There is a video directly after this. I know it's long, but it's really good, and it'll show you how Napoleon doles out favors to his family, as well as what he did at his own coronation. He's an interesting little man.
Absolutely, my dear. From now on, when you want to talk to me, you must address me as His Imperial Highness, the Grand Elector.
And what about me, your wife? What am I called?
Oh, for God's sake, Julie, you're only the Emperor's sister-in-law. It would be the last straw if you had a title while we, his own sisters, aren't even princesses.
Speak for yourself, Caroline. I'm a princess.
Well, it's not fair. It really isn't. Why her and not us?
Because Pauline married Prince Borghese. I can't help it if you and Caroline preferred to marry generals.
My dear Bonaparte, I trust you don't see my marriage to Caroline as a bad match.
You're my friend, Murat, and that's worth all the titles in the world. When I gave my friendship, I never take it back. But a crown can be lost. But I would be grateful if you would Stop calling me my dear Bonaparte. Remember to say sire when you address me. And this goes for all of you.
But it's a family gathering.
The imperial family from now on. All the princes of Europe are watching us, and they can't believe what they see. Those Bonapartes aspire to the rank of Royal Highness. And they are not even aristocrats. They are barely French.
We will show them we are their equals.
Don't nurse any illusions, Carl. If we want those people to treat us as equals, we must behave as they do. They will mock us at the tiniest slip. Doesn't bother me at all, except that France, and the honor due to France, is at stake through me.
And I'm sure you will never change. Emperor or not, your white bridges will always be covered with stains. I don't know what you do with your bridges.
He wipes his pen on them, of course.
Let's discuss my coronation. It will be the 2nd of December in the Notre-Dame de Paris with the Pope's blessing.
The Pope? You want the Pope to come here? But you don't know what you're talking about, Napoleon. You can go to Rome to see the Pope and receive his blessing, but he will never come here just for you.
Yes, he will. He owes me a lot. I drew up the Concordat that restored peace between the church and the state. Without it, there would be no more religion in France, and God would be just another emigre.
I see you've planned everything. Almost everything. Becoming emperor also means founding a dynasty. How will you do that with a woman who hasn't even bothered to bear you a child?
I beg you, Lucien. You're talking about the mother of my wife.
What of it? We're not talking about your dear Hortense.
That's enough. Do you think she would have abandoned me if I'd lost on the 18th Brumaire? If I'd been thrown into prison or even executed? No, Lucien. Josephine would have never abandoned me. I've decided that she will be crowned with me. From now on, Josephine will not only be your daughter-in-law, she will be your empress. So please take note of it.
It won't stop me thinking.
You will think in silence. 2 paces behind her. I'm having the cathedral entirely redecorated. My idea is to transform Notre Dame into a Greco-Roman temple.
That is to say pagan.
That is to say spectacular. Isabelle, you have depicted me as smaller than Monsieur Talleyrand.
Well, sire, I was merely respecting nature's proportions.
A man's scale is determined by his destiny, not by nature, monsieur.
Of course, sire.
So you will stand here.
And you will be over there? I fear my arm will not be long enough.
For what?
To put the crown on your head.
It will not be necessary. I intend to crown myself.
Then why am I here?
To bless my reign.
Oh, who exactly are you asking to bless your reign, sire? Almighty God, or his humble deputy on earth, the Pope?
Humble. Is that the word you use to describe the thunder of organ music? Clouds of incense, altars full of flowers, robes trimmed with gold.
Sire, you confuse God with religion.
On the contrary, I separate them. On the one hand, a theory, God. On the other, a certitude, religion. It gives human society a framework. People would have no reference points without religion. We saw the results of that. When, during the revolution, the churches were looted and the priests guillotined. The country toppled into anarchy, the chaos and madness of the Reign of Terror. You can do without God, but not without religion.
Do without God? Can you live without faith in the immortality of your soul? Without belief in the everlasting life?
If you had ever been on a battlefield, you would not believe in God either.
But I spend all my days and all my nights on a battlefield, sire. The whole world is a battlefield. And every man who suffers is a terrible defeat for me. Place the crown on your own brow if that is what you wish. I will pray it does not become too heavy for you to bear.
Have you ever regretted being Pope?
It terrifies me, sire. Every day that God gives.
You may leave us.
My God, you're beautiful. At a day over 25.
It's makeup. A painter invented it and helped me put it on, working highlights and shadows, as if I were a masterpiece.
You are.
Your masterpiece, then. The masterpiece of your love. May I have your permission to say that?
Do you doubt it?
Not when you look at me like that. Not when we're alone, just the two of us. It's the other people who frighten me and spoil everything. The people I'm giving every excuse to hate me.
The trick is not to see them. Keep your eyes on me.
But I won't be able to at the most important moment, when I lower my head.
Then remember that my eyes will always be on you. You've captured the Pope perfectly. He looks as if he'd been made to sit for you and forbidden to move. How bored he seems, poor fellow.
All he could see from his position was the back of your coat.
Where's my mother?
Well, nowhere, sire, since your dear mother preferred not to be present at the ceremony.
Because she couldn't bear the idea of seeing Josephine glorified. A cat fact. But history will never understand why she was absent at such a vital moment. Here, David. Paint her right here. Make her easy to see. Give her a beautiful dress and see that she looks radiant.
Sire, I don't know if your dear mother would appreciate.
She'll be furious. She's very stubborn, like everyone else in the family, but with time, she will be grateful that I saved her from appearing so petty. Very well, David. It's going to be beautiful. When do you think it's going to be finished?
Well, sire, it takes time, you know. 2 years, maybe 3.